Good morning, everybody. My name is Phil Myers, CTO here at LAWO. I'm very proud and honored to welcome William Vermos this morning with me to join from the EBU. Welcome, William.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about, I guess, some things that are very passionate to yourself and myself for the last couple of years.
I would doubt what it is, but...
Yeah, okay. So there's this little thing called DMF and MXL. I guess we'll come to the MXL. But maybe you can give us a kind of quick overview of what DMF is and what it's all about.
Yeah, we love abbreviations. So also today, DMF, the Dynamic Media Facility. This is actually something we've been struggling with as broadcasters for a long, long time. I remember big projects moving from SD to HD, and those projects took a year, ripping out even the cabling and starting from scratch. Today, we cannot just do this anymore. That's impossible. So we need to move it into the next step. And when we look around at the IT industry, those guys have done this way before us. So why don't we reuse those efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the challenges we have in our industry have been around, making the systems more agile, more flexible. I think if we look at the non-live side of broadcast infrastructure, media asset management, playouts, they made that transition many, many years ago. I think the challenge has always been on the live side is due to latency constraints that we've had, bandwidth. And so I think it's a logical step that we now move forward into addressing this in the live space. So I guess the question I would have for you is, what do you think is the catalyst that's driving this in the short term and in the long term?
Well, there might be a few, but if you mention bandwidth and latency, if you look at how the IT industry is moving forward and we look at Ethernet speed, the switches, I think the capacity of those switches just not doubled, but it's 64 times up the speed we had just a few years ago. So this is impressive. The same thing is happening with CPUs, 192 cores. I think we're even above this quite a bit now. And if you look at GPUs, wow, amazing. You can just run everything on it.
Yeah, so I think we see the technology now is adapting very, very quickly. We see that the technology that has always been historically very bespoke to the broadcast industry is becoming more, I would say, off the shelf. And that's hence we can leverage this scalability that we see in industries. Of course, one of the big enablers that we see in the short term to, I guess, in the midterm is the use of things like artificial intelligence or AI and some of the workloads.
Well, I think this could be completely an enabler for this, because once we treat video as asynchronous data, just as computers would like to have it, then a video frame sits in memory. And once it's in memory, your AI can just pick it up and do its thing. So in the next years, we will see things just beyond our imagination at this stage, I think.
Yeah. So I think one of the challenges we have as an industry is that historically we've always been reliant on standards. And those standards didn't really change that often, maybe every sort of 5-7 years. But what we've seen in the last sort of 5-7 years is just an explosion of media formats that are driven by, I guess, customers' demands, workloads. So I guess, why do we now see some of the work, for example, on MXL going in a slightly different way that we've done in the past?
Well, don't get me wrong, standards are good, but this is for long-term things. And once we're agile and moving into software, we're not long-term. So we thought maybe it's good to create an API, but then we thought, no, it shouldn't be just an API because then every company needs to do the same effort. So if we create an SDK and we start by creating the SDK and not talking about it, then everybody would benefit greatly from this.
So I think, there's the work around the dynamic media facility that's been going now for a couple of years, and the work that you've done in the EBU has been fantastic to help drive that. Obviously, we're still in this early phase. You start to see now really real-world deployments like we've done with a few clients. I guess the next logical step is to have multi-vendor, multi-tenancy across this type of infrastructure. What is the catalyst to enable that?
That's where the fun starts, right? So instead of having an SDI cable or doing 2110 over the wire, in this compute system, you need to exchange the media. And we just started a project. I actually did start in June, so that's a few months from now. And there's already software. You will probably see it around the show floor. It's not a product yet, by the way. It's just showing that the technology works. So don't go out and buy it. But the fact that we have it right now, 4 months after we started, that's really kicking off. It's going in a great pace now.
Yeah. So I think I think we've learned, through our work within the MXL on the Requirements Council, that there's really a lot of excitement, a lot of motivation, a lot of feature requests. I think the challenge we have is obviously to get it into a mode that can be adapted by a lot of clients, whether it be vendor side or customer side. What do you think of the challenges that we see ahead there? So obviously we have the SDK. It's now going to be readily available. What is the next challenge that you see coming?
So I'll take one step back. By the way, we didn't say it yet out loud, but there are many companies actually working on this. LAWO is also one of them. And thank you, by the way, for joining the project. But what are the next steps or elephants in the room even maybe? Well, it's the same with 2110. It's a data plane. MXL, it's a data plane. You need to have the control part with it. So that's the discussion we need to have. Otherwise, well, you cannot use it.
So I think, as an industry, we're all technologists. We all want to solve customer problems in the best possible way. I think what I see over the last sort of 12, 16 months, especially with the work that was done by the EBU around DMF and MXL more recently, is there's really a good collaboration both on the customer side and on the vendor side. I think what we see today in the Requirements Council is we have a lot of feature requests that are starting to build up. So maybe we talk a little bit about where we have today, what's in the version 1 of MXL, and what maybe some of the ideas that we have beyond that.
Yeah, so of course version 1 should be out there quick to show that we can do it. So of course it's version 1 has a limited feature set. Otherwise you cannot prove things very quickly, but yes we can. And then, of course, there are further requirements on the road. But first of all, we need to have the development power. So many companies that will join, please join and put your development power in. That's really helpful. And then having those next discussions, like really what it is a customer needs to have. And not just what, yeah, it might be interesting in future. No. This project is really what you want to have right now, what makes actually business value. This is what we put in.
Yeah. So I think, if we would have a crystal ball, and we could look forward 24, 48 months, where would you like us to be as an industry?
So, can I dream out loud? I would say, let's do an interoperability test before NAB. It would be really nice if by NAB time we can say, well, these are many vendors and our first version really works on this. That would be nice. And then, of course, this control part must be in. So I think these are the two most important parts for the next months. If we keep this beast on the rails, then we need to be sure that those two things are covered as well, I think.
I think maybe we should not forget there's still a lot of work around in the industry on the adoption of IP. So I think you would agree, we don't see the transition to 2110 going away. We don't see the adoption of things like NDI or SRT or Dante or these other forms of transportation going away. We just see them as complementary to the work that's done around MXL.
Yeah, but there's maybe a slight other point I want to just touch upon. It's like, yeah, the road to IP, and maybe some are still on SDI, with all respect, of course. But the recent discussion I had is how to lure in new talent that actually can work with this. And is smart enough to do all the plumbing in the back end. Of course, the product should be good enough that you don't have to deal with all the back end. But also, if we stick in the past with SDI, sorry, I'm very blunt on this, then we need to train all new people who come into the business with 40, 50 years of legacy. And those guys are perfectly capable of working with computes. They can do programming and all that sort of stuff. But try to get to explain to these guys how ancillary data back from whatever still works. I think we're doing not a good job in getting new people into the business if we stick with legacy things.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think, we at LAWO see that we've had to change how we organize our R&D organization to bring in people who have skills like DevOps skills. We see this also in our professional services group on how we deploy the technology. We think this is a real transformation inside and on the vendor side from a product development perspective and deployment. But I also agree. I think we see it on the customer side as well. There's a level of retraining, reskilling required there, and I think I think we've discussed this in the past that if we're not careful, we as an industry will not bring the people through with the right skill set to be able to deliver the technology that's required moving forward when this technology is used in other verticals where they get also equally the same benefit. So I think the technology is one thing to drive it forward, but obviously, of course, we as an industry, we need to make sure we also have the manpower to drive that through and the skill set to be able to do it as well.
Yeah, it always goes hand in hand. It's not just new technology, you need to have new skill sets and even probably a culture, because suddenly you're deploying software and it should be secure. And back in the days, I didn't see any virus on SDI. But of course, once you're in compute, well, you need to have a secured system as well. So, yeah, we need to change the culture.
And I think that's a good point. So as we introduce new ways of working, new technologies, we also open up things that we have to address, like security, which is obviously another big key focus for the EBU. And then that also by having distributed infrastructure, we also then have to think about the content and how we secure the content as well. These are all themes that I think the industry has had to tackle anyway, but now they almost come to an inflection point because of the choices that are made.
Yeah, and the interesting part, once we're in the IT industry, we can reuse everything that's out there. So let's go ahead, don't invent the wheel again, and let's try to reuse what's really out there.
Yeah. So great talking to you this morning, William. I think I guess our ask would be, please come and get involved in the work that's done with the MXL. I think we're both passionate that we think this is really a key thing for the industry to drive forward. Maybe I can leave you with a sort of closing remark on where you see this going and maybe a call to action.
Well, good one. Call to action. So there is a GitHub repository that's DMF-MXL. Once you go there, you can join the calls, you can work together with us, you can think about requirements. If you think, oh, I'm not a developer, yes, you can think about requirements. If you're a user, you can download the code and test it. Even testing it and coming back with, oh, this might not be fully 100%, this helps us as well. So please join the good cause. Maybe I have one slight question which is completely off topic. How did the clocks get there?
Oh, our clocks? This is the LAWO timing model. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have a very strict timing model on the booth. You'll find them across a lot of our meeting rooms. It's from the Black Forest, so where we're from. But yeah, this is something that's been with us for many, many years. You'll see it in some of our meeting rooms as well.
Okay.
We always get the question, does that mean the meeting's over? No. But again, thank you very much this morning. It's really greatly appreciated, and thank you for taking the time to come see us.
Thank you so much for being here.